Welcome to the Office of Planning, Assessment, and Data's second Data Days at DMACC presentation. Today's topic is called 15 to Finish, where we will explore both internal and external data that shows that enrolling in and completing 15 credit hours is the best way to ensure that students are successful in reaching their educational goal. But before we get into our presentation, let's recap August's presentation. Last time we presented on the enrollment cliff. The enrollment cliff is the projected drop in the number of traditional aged college students across the United States. This decline is projected to be felt most dramatically from 2026 onwards. The roots of this cliff can be traced back to the Great Recession of 2008 that resulted in a decline in birth rates in the United States. Starting in 2008 and every year afterwards, there was a decline in birth rates. By 2013, there was close to 400,000 fewer births annually than there had been in 2007. Those children born in 2008 will be heading to college in 2026, but there will be fewer of them and even fewer of them each year afterwards. This is going to impact higher education institutions, including DMACC, in their ability to meet their budget needs and fulfill their mission and strategic plans. If you have not yet viewed this presentation, we encourage you to find it on our YouTube channel called Planning, Assessment, and Data, DMACC. The Office of Planning, Assessment, and Data, affectionately known as OPAD, intends to focus many of our day-to-day presentations on items directly related to the college's strategic plan. This month's presentation is 15 to Finish. In DMACC's strategic plan, goals 1.1a and 1.1b are both early momentum goals that seek to increase the number of credit hours our students complete. 15 to Finish is also a Complete College America initiative and is one way DMACC might mitigate the effects of the enrollment cliff. By encouraging students to take and helping them complete more credit hours, we will help students succeed at a higher rate, help DMACC meet its budget goals with fewer students, and help our community by filling more jobs faster. But how can we do this? First, we can encourage more students to enroll in more credit hours at registration. We can also assess our policies and procedures to see how we might be creating barriers for students to enroll in or finish more credit hours. We can also ensure that faculty and staff understand why 15 to Finish helps students. And there are other approaches that we will be covering a little later in this presentation. First, let's address concerns that people may have. We received some of these questions and concerns as DMACC's strategic plan was being written last year. Others came from literature we reviewed. One question, but what if the student is part-time? They're part-time for a reason. Getting them to take 15 credit hours will set them up for failure. This presentation is not suggesting that we should attempt to get all students to enroll in 15 credit hours. The goal is to present 15 credit hours in the first semester as the gold standard. Getting more full-time students to 15 credit hours is absolutely the goal. But also getting more part-time students to take a few more credit hours is another goal. But what if there are not enough courses available at times when the students can take them? This is where assessing our own internal procedures and actions can help. The Registrar's Office is in the process of implementing an Ad Astra product called Align and Predict. This will help us predict what courses students need, when they should be offered, and in what modality. There's also a proposal coming out of Academic Affairs that, if implemented, will allow students to schedule classes for fall, spring, and summer all at once, so that they can be more planful with their work schedules, childcare needs, or other things that might prevent them from taking additional credits. But what if a student cannot afford to take 15 credits a semester? This is a legitimate concern that may prevent students from taking more coursework. However, pointing out the return on investment, that credit hours in the future are going to cost more than today, and pointing out the length of time it will take to complete a degree, 1 or 2 courses at a time, may encourage some students to take another course. This is also another area where we can assess our own internal processes. Do we have scholarships available? How can we make it easier for students to apply? And can we make it easier for low-income students to apply? There are likely other questions and concerns too. We encourage you to begin discussing these and helping DMACC find solutions. Let's look at some of the higher education literature on the topic. Research on whether requiring students to take 15 credit hours in their first semester improved academic progression found that it did, in fact, help low-income students progress and complete their degrees at a higher rate than those who took less than 15 credit hours. A study addressing why students don't take 15 credit hours found that most community college students were unaware of the academic and economic benefits of taking 15, and that implementing an internal communication campaign at one community college addressing the benefits was effective in getting more students to take more credit hours. 2 additional studies showed that the first semester credit completion is an indicator of completing an award. In fact, one of them also suggested that there was a behavior component involved. Encouraging a student to take 15 credit hours in their first semester became normal and created a habit for many students. So what does our own DMACC data show us? On this slide, you can see that only 11.2% of our degree-seeking students earn 15 or more credit hours in their first semester with us. Now, these are non-high school students, so we've taken those high school students that are primarily part-time out of this number. And only 9.1% earn 30 credits after a full calendar year. Here, we have given the student fall, spring, and summer to earn 30 credit hours. Our goal is to move the needles to 13.6% for those who earn 15 credits in their first semester and 12.1% who earn 30 in a year. Again, we're not suggesting that all students should be told to enroll in 15 hours. What we want is for more students to be made aware of the benefits of taking more credit hours, so more students actually do enroll in 15. This slide shows some interesting data. Here we see data only for DMACC students who, when they started with us, had no prior college. That means no dual enrollment courses and no prior college credits from any other college or university. The percentage of students who completed 30 credits in a year has most recently been 10%, but has been as high as 14% prior to COVID. Disregarding whether COVID had an effect, what is interesting here is that these students with no prior college experience took and completed more credits than all new students. This group of students would fall into the category of at-risk students. Some barrier or barriers prevented them from taking dual enrollment courses in high school. What does student success look like for those who earn 15 credit hours in their first term versus those who do not? You can see on this slide that most recent data show that 64% of students who earn 15 credits or more in their first semester graduate within 3 years. For those who earn less than 15 in their first semester, only 29% graduate in 3 years. This and the next slide show a percent of students who graduate within 3 years longitudinally across the number of credit hours earned in their first semester and across 5 cohorts. You can easily see that as the more credit hours earned in semester 1 increases, so does the percentage of those students who graduated. Of note here, there is always the question of whether a student who is part-time has had enough time to graduate when we measure by 3 years. Maybe they graduate after 4 or 5. 4 to 5 years is a long time to ask someone to persist towards a credential that is 2 years or less. Nonetheless, we did look at that number. Our most recent IPEDS report shows that after 4 years, 12% of part-time students had earned a credential. After 6 years, it was 14% of our part-time students who had earned a credential. And after 8 years, that percentage went up 1 point to 15%. Certainly, there are a small number of the cohort of part-time students who intend to transfer to a four-year institution, but that percentage ranges between 20% and 25% of the total cohort. Even so, some good news on this slide. Even for part-time students, success can be influenced by encouraging students to take just one more course. Notice here that for those who complete 3 credits in their first semester, their graduation rate is around 10%. For those who complete 6 credits, it jumps to around 25%, more than doubling their chance of graduating. This slide is just an inverse of the previous slide, showing the chance of not graduating by the number of credits earned. Additional internal data that offers us some direction is shown here. This data comes from the intake survey that was sent to all regular college students in the weeks prior to fall 2023 semester start date. An almost equal 50-50 split of students who responded indicated that they intended to be a full-time student versus a part-time student. Yet when we look at the same data as of Census Day, only 26% of students were registered as full-time students. Finding the causes of this may be the key to DMACC helping more students complete more credit hours in a shorter amount of time. After the OPAD team analyzed both the internal and external data together, our conclusions are: first, 15 semester hours should be considered the gold standard. But just like in the Olympics, not everyone is capable of earning a gold medal. For many students, the gold standard doesn't work with their lives. However, DMACC faculty and staff should still encourage them to reach for a silver or bronze standard. But what are these silver and bronze standards? For full-time students who intend to take 12 credit hours, but who receive advice just to take 1 more credit hour, getting them to 13 semester hours is a silver or bronze. Part-time students who intend to take just 1 course, but who receive advice to take 2 courses, silver or bronze. Or someone who is registered for 9, 10, or 11 credits being encouraged to take 12 credit hours, getting them to full-time status, could be silver or bronze. And of course, this is more than just getting the students to register for more credit hours. All DMACC faculty and staff have an obligation to help our students complete the hours they register for. We also need to take a closer look at the barriers preventing students from registering for a full-time load, especially when the data shown on the previous slide suggests that more of them intend to be full-time than are actually registering for full-time. Why is 15 the gold standard? What makes it so? This presentation does not purport to establish causation, but after discussion in our assessment, these are the things we believe that makes 15 credit hours that gold standard. Students who take more coursework have greater contact with faculty. Connections with faculty have been shown to have a positive effect on student success. Students who are guided to take a certain number of credits in their first semester usually fall into a habit or pattern of taking that each semester. If they're encouraged to take 15 in semester 1, they continue that pattern and finish faster. The faster a student gets to completion, whether that's a degree, certificate, or diploma, the less chance they have that life will get in the way. The research has shown time and again that time is the biggest obstacle to student success. The longer it takes, the less likely a student is to finish. Really, if you do the math, a student who takes just 1 course at a time will take more than 7 years to complete an associate's degree. And that's if they take courses over the summer too. Think about all the life events that happen in a 7-year span. This one is especially important for students who take face-to-face courses. The more courses a student takes, the more time they will spend on campus. The more time they are on campus, the more time they have to develop a sense of belonging. This, of course, doesn't mean that online students don't have this opportunity. Online students can also develop a sense of belonging, and that too comes with greater exposure to fellow students, faculty, and staff. Finally, higher GPAs on average seem to result when students take 15 credit hours. This held true even for students with average high school GPAs between 2.0 and 3.0. How is this important to DMACC? By encouraging students to take more credits, the end result should be that more of them complete. This will better serve our communities by filling more jobs and getting more people earning a higher wage. This will also help the students who intend to transfer to a four-year institution. They will get more credits here at DMACC, and higher credit accumulation prior to transfer leads to better student outcomes after transferring. More credit hours will help DMACC meet its budget obligations in the future. Higher retention and graduation rates help DMACC secure additional grants, state funding, donations, and continued accreditation. And finally, few students navigate the enrollment process with no intention of completing a credential. Certainly there are some, but most start with a goal in mind, and it is our responsibility to help them complete. Please take this information, look for additional information or other ways that other colleges are helping their students earn more credit hours in a semester or a year. Discuss it with your colleagues. How can we encourage more students to take more credit hours, knowing that it's in their best interest to do so? Thank you very much for listening. Data Days at DMACC is presented most months on the third Thursday of the month at 3 p.m. in person on the Ankeny campus. If you are interested in attending one of the presentations, please contact anyone in OPAD or send an email to opad@dmac.edu for schedule and topics. Next month, we will present Program Vitality on October 19th at 3 p.m. Please note that we have limited space in Building 22 North. For that reason, we would appreciate if you would let us know you want to attend. We will then send a calendar invitation if space allows.